Hello, I am Freema Gottlieb. Welcome to this week's Torah reading, Parshat Tisa. I will grant favor to whom I desire. Feel free to love whom I choose. Shemot 33:18. When it comes to human emotions, is there such a thing as political correctness? In love, there is no accounting for tastes. Only when, in our Torah reading, the Almighty insists on a similar prerogative, do we find it shocking. On a deeper level, such unexpected sentiment attributed to God has the effect of bringing him that much closer. In whom does God take special delight? In Moses, our teacher, Moshe Rabbeinu. The Israelites had just experienced the high point in their spiritual life. To the accompaniment of lightning and thunderbolts, a transcendent God had come down on Mount Sinai and began talking directly to an entire nation. I am the Lord thy God. You shall have no other gods besides me. How did they respond? The experience was too intense. They backed off. All the pyrotechnics, especially the immediacy of the divine voice, was too much for them. They begged a reluctant Moses, known for his more familiar relationship with God, described as face-to-face, as one talks with a friend, to relay his message to them. The people leave to their leader the rare chance to enjoy greater closeness to the Most High. Almost immediately after the giving of a Torah, our stiff-necked ancestors could not wait for Moses to come down from Sinai and are already preparing a replacement for him with an idolatrous golden calf. Precisely when the nation has sunk to its lowest, filtered through the consciousness of their leader, there emerges the greatest revelation of divine presence ever granted to us. The articulation of the divine name, spelling out the 13 attributes of compassion. What fascinates authors of Midrash in every succeeding generation is the emotional down-to-earth interchange between God and Moses that made such a revelation possible. The persona God adopts in relation to Moses is not one of an indifferent, elevated spiritual entity, but rather of one who suffers from betrayal and abandonment by his beloved nation. It is an agony we can all understand. Avowing that in the entire world only Moses has found grace in his eyes, the Almighty declares himself ready to destroy his erstwhile favorites and take Moses and his children as his new chosen people. Is there a level of wrath and raw negativity within the divine that frightens even God himself? Does the all-compassionate God really mean what he says? Or is it only a ploy to provoke the response necessary that will make him change his mind? As many Midrashic authors and Hasidic Rebbes have pointed out, in these moments of rage, God needs a very special kind of human to bring on his compassion. From the outset, as much as God liked or had a special feeling for Moses, what brought this couple together was the quasi-parental love both felt for a recalcitrant Israel. The reason that God revealed himself to Moses in the first place was to call him to lead the people. From first to last, Israel was the apple of their eye. So Midrash tells us they established a pact. When one was angry, the other would soothe him, and vice versa. As with a cup of tea, if it is too hot, one adds cold water. If it cools, one adds some hot. That was the measure of their complicity. Underlying his threat of genocide, God wanted Moses to stand up for the people, like a king who is enraged by his son. He calls in the boy's tutor and cries out, "Let me alone and I'll finish him off." The last thing the father really wants is to be left alone with the boy. He does not know what damage he might cause. What he needs is some intervention that will change the entire picture. There, Moses is his man. But what can Moses do? There's only one encouraging indication. You, and only you, have found favor in my eyes. If God will forgive the Jewish people, Moses, his favorite, will accept that. If not, blot me out of your book. To save his people's life, Moses is prepared to give up his own. So God is, as it were, blackmailed into forgiving Israel for Moses' sake. But physical survival is not enough for Moses. He wants more. If indeed I have found favor in your eyes, then let me know your ways. Reward me. Like any spiritual seeker, Moses dearly wished to know and love God himself. He mentions this desire, however, for a very pragmatic reason. Above all, God wants to be known, and for all Israel, and indeed the entire world, to rise to such knowledge. That prospect alone, rather than an encounter with any individual, is a sure way to soothe hard feelings. Greater knowledge of God increases the love and favor in relationship with his favorite, to such an extent that the latter can slip in a petition on behalf of an entire people. And recognize, please, that this nation is yours. Moses then asks God to consider, "For how shall it be known that I have found grace in your eyes, I and your people, but by your direct presence accompanying me and your people?" Exodus 33:16. Again, Moses insists not only on his own part, but on behalf of the entire people. If God does not make his presence felt in the whole of Israel, mere physical survival won't cut it. Don't bring us up from here. God may as well bury them all in the wilderness. To this the Almighty cannot accede, and therefore he gives in. His presence will accompany both the leader and his flock. Then again, out of his own spiritual thirst, Moses cries out, as one might to a beloved, "Show me your glory. Show me the intensity of your presence." To which again God concurs with a revelation not of the kavod as we know it, as a kind of shining aura, visual, but oral, with the slow articulation of the divine name with 13 attributes, showing Moses the modality of the relation to be passed on to Israel. Shabbat Shalom.